The Sparta Board of Education regular meeting is called to order at 6:02? 6:01. Chad, can you please read our meeting announcement?
The New Jersey Open Publics Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Sparta Board of Education has caused notice of the time and place of this meeting to be published in the New Jersey Herald, the Star Ledger, Tappan of Sparta, and notice of this meeting has been posted on the Sparta Township School District website.
Thank you, Chad. Barbara, can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Collier?
Here.
Ms. Hinkle? Dr. Martinez?
Here.
Ms. McMichael? Mr. Morris?
Here.
Ms. Serafino?
Here.
Ms. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Wood?
Here.
And Ms. Gagnon.
Present.
Quorum confirmed.
Thank you. If everyone can join us for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are now going to convene into closed session. Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, provides for the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Sparta Township Board of Education is of the opinion that such circumstances exist, to discuss matters of attorney-client privilege, personnel, and we will also be interviewing construction managers for our referendum, which are exempt from public participation pursuant to the New Jersey Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Be it resolved, we will enter executive session now at 6:02. We anticipate we'll reconvene in public session at the conclusion, which should take about an hour, possibly up to an hour and a half, but we hope to return around sometime between 7 and 7:30. And we'll need a second. Thank you. Second for that? Second. Any discussion? No discussion? No? Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Welcome back to the January meeting. Resolved that the Board of Education has closed executive session. We've entered back into the public portion of the meeting at 7:43 p.m. We do not have district recognition tonight, so we'll go right into presentations. Dr. Beck and our superintendent and Alan Barnett of DeCara Rubino Architects are here to present on the referendum.
Thank you. So we are back here talking about the referendum again. The last time Alan and I presented, we put a couple proposals out there, a couple of proposed designs out there for the addition to Alpine School. We were able to narrow that down. So tonight what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the final design. Alan will walk you through some of the specs, some of the details when it comes to the final design of Alpine School, the addition that would be at Alpine School, and also talk about the projects that would take place in the other buildings. Again, there's two prongs to this proposed referendum. That would be the addition to Alpine School and then necessary building upgrades in all the schools, which we'll talk about tonight. So just kind of to recap what I just said, actually. The building addition would apply to Alpine Elementary School in order to accommodate the growing population, which we spoke about the last time we presented, how we arrived here. Specials would be housed in their own classrooms. Right now, a lot of specials are on carts over there. The modulars would no longer be used as classrooms. We would keep the modulars up because they're actually decent buildings, and we would use them for other purposes, but they would not be used for classrooms. And to provide necessary room for growth and small group instruction in the spaces. You'll see tonight that an additional gymnasium for Alpine for increased use during the school day, because right now, as you know, that is a multi-purpose room, so it's a cafeteria, it's an auditorium, and it's a gymnasium.
Where we are to date with the referendum planning, the addition at Alpine, walk you through some of the details that we've adjusted since the last time I was here, and also then we'll finish up with the facility improvements across the district. So I'm gonna try and do it from here. You guys know I like to wander around, and you guys have been very accommodating and giving me a microphone with a long extension, but I'm gonna try and do it from here for starters. So when I was here last, we presented a series of options for Alpine's addition to the rear of the site. We've settled on the option where the gymnasium is going to be on the right-hand side of the site, and the bus drop-off parking will be on the left-hand side of the site. We'll have a 10-classroom kindergarten addition and a 10-classroom second grade addition up on the second floor. That is going to be almost parallel with the existing building. We've chosen to skew the building addition ever so slightly. This is where I'm going to have to walk around.
Grab that mic. We were prepared for Alan tonight.
Which I greatly appreciate. We chose to skew this portion of the building, this addition, as it relates to the existing building, because it allows a little bit more light and air to get down deep into this. This is going to be a 2-story addition. This is currently your 1-story addition. So again, bus parking, bus drop-off on the left-hand side of the plan. Widen this portion of the site to a full 24-foot drive width, so it gets that 2-lane traffic. So what this will do is this will separate. Currently, right now, buses come through the site and circulate back. This will keep the buses separate from the parent drop-off at the front. As I said, 10 kindergarten classrooms on the first floor, gymnasium or basketball, kindergarten playground, and regular playground. These still are shown kind of diagrammatic. We can move those around the site as we move forward. We'll be renovating 2 of the existing kindergarten classrooms. We'll be renovating the bathrooms to make them full ADA compliant. The change in use of the modular building, just to make offices, that's a part of the submission to the state as well. And we'll also be renovating 2 of the existing classrooms for art and music, bringing those specials back into a classroom and getting them off of a cart. On the second floor, we've got the 10 second grade classrooms. We've got the 2 SGIs, actually 3 SGIs, toilets, support spaces, faculty lounge. took a quick early, what could this building look like? This is a concept rendering of what it would look like from the bus drop-off. This is just something just to kind of say, hey, we're starting this process with you. You're going to see 20 more versions of this before it's all said and done. But I wanted to just kind of, I came with some plans last time. I kind of wanted to come with a little different this time. This would be an option for what the gym would look like. Here's that entrance on the left-hand side. This would be that entrance off the parking lot that could be used for after hours and control. You'll also have entrance just into the gymnasium. Concept of what the kindergarten hallway could look like, kindergarten corridor could look like, bringing in vinyl graphics, color, lighting, flooring. What a kindergarten classroom could look like. Again, the use of color, the use of flooring materials. When we get into the facility improvements, we're going to touch all 5 schools in the district as part of the referendums, starting with Alpine, that needs to be upgraded for Mohawk. Helen Morgan, roof, windows, boilers, HVAC upgrades, and electrical service again. Middle school is HVAC upgrades. The electrical service there is okay. We don't need to touch that one. And then lastly, Sparta High School. It needs a chiller replacement, classroom HVAC upgrades throughout, and we're going to touch 3 of the science labs. We've started working with your science faculty, and we did a quick concept of what a biomed science lab could look like. Again, these are all the images I showed you are very, very early on. Just want to kind of give you guys an idea of what my firm does to generate and to help get the knowledge and the information out to the public as you look to get public support for the referendum. You want this one or me?
I'll take it, and you can jump in as needed. So we've talked about this now multiple times.
It's required to the Department of Education so they can start reviewing it as a viable referendum.
So those are the resolutions that you see this evening on the agenda. There's one for each building. This presentation is really the presentation we used in September, October when we presented before, but we updated a lot of things to it. So updating the timeline here, knocking off what we already did. January 2025 is where we are tonight. The board passes a resolution submitting the NJDOE schematic submission that Alan just spoke about. April, May 25, the board will receive and approve the NJDOE preliminary eligible cost. If you want to speak to what that is, Alan?
Yeah, as part of your packet that you would have received is the cost estimates for each school's projects. So they take that and determine what they feel is because this is a referendum, what they feel is will be your debt service aid. That's roughly between 30 to 40% based on your DAP, which is your state's what they contribute to your aid for this district. So that's what they determine. That's part of the PEC. So when they say a preliminary eligible cost, they say yes, we're in agreement with the cost estimate that is provided by the architect, and we are giving.
Throughout, like I said, throughout the spring, summer, and into the early fall, that's when we need to start spreading the word, holding presentations, information sessions, whatever it may be, to make sure the community is informed, so they know exactly what they would be voting on when the September 2025 referendum vote takes place. So that is the goal, that is the deadline, September of 2025. So I know we had this information ahead of time. We've talked about this now at length. I'm not sure if there's any more questions from the board at this time.
One question regarding the DAP, the debt service aid, is that still based on, I think in September, Alan, you spoke about the $125 per square foot of construction cost. Is that still, that's still the estimate?
That hasn't changed in 20 years, and it's not going to change.
Okay.
So, all right, so we talk about debt service aid. There's 2 pieces of it. Oh, I'm sorry. To talk about debt service aid, there's 2 pieces. There's the facility improvements part, which is the facility improvement projects to the 5 schools. That's where you're going to get the full, let's say, 40%. That's a given. Then there's the addition. The addition is determined, the amount of debt service aid you get for the addition is determined by your number of unhoused students. The unhoused students, just to be clear, they are not kids that can't get into the building. They are kids that are projected over the capacity of your building, over the capacity of your school. The state just declares them as unhoused students. Doesn't mean you can't fit them or they're not in a seat. It's just that they're above the capacity what the state has allotted for your school. Now, we don't know that number yet. The state that gives us what that amount is on the debt service aid. And again, that's based on the unhoused students. Something that goes in your favor, we got, when we submitted your demographer report for approval this week, we got back that the state projects a larger number of enrollment for Sparta, which means that your number of unhoused students will be greater, so your amount of debt service aid on the new addition side will be more. That number we don't know until it goes down to the state when we submit it to the Department of Education, and that's when they look at the enrollment projections, the project, the cost estimates. They'll come back at that point and say what both sides of the debt service aid represent.
I
Thank
just
you.
have a quick question, if that's okay, Lauren. A quick question for you, and more of a broad question, I would say. With everything in mind and the upgrades we're making to the other schools, how do you think it puts us in a position for the future? Because obviously we don't want to turn to another referendum anytime soon. So just curious, because it kind of feels like we were playing catch up a little bit. But once we are caught up, how do you think it puts us in terms of the position we're in?
I think it puts you in a very good position, because when we look at a roof replacement, that roof replacement's a 40-year roof. Okay? The windows are probably a 40-plus year window. Doors, you're not going to be replacing doors. Boilers are a 20-plus year boiler system. So you're doing, on the facility side, you're addressing what the needs are of the district and projecting that out for the next 25 to 40 years, depending on the project. The addition side, we're projecting out what we're allowed to project out. Right? We're allowed to project out 5 years. And this goes back to the demographer report. Any older than 5, if you go further than 5 years in the future, those kids aren't born yet. So we're not allowed to project out. Now, you can build, but you're not going to get that debt service aid, right? The debt service aid is going to come from what the state has determined from the unhoused students based on the projected enrollments, okay? So while we're addressing the needs of the district, we are, it happens in cycles, especially when it comes to building additions. So we don't have a crystal ball as to what's going to happen in Sparta over the next 15 years. We're allowed to project out 5. Mm-hmm.
Alan, with this, it's hard to tell with this drawing because there's no numbers. With the expansion of the property itself, are we getting anywhere too close to the property lines where that's going to cause an issue where we have to get certain variances or anything?
No, that's... Yep. Okay, so this shows the property lines on this map?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Or on the
looking
site plan?
Mm-hmm.
This does not, we have to go to planning board. We do have to go to planning board. Planning board is a courtesy review, okay? As a school, it's only a courtesy review, so they make suggestions and recommendations, which we take into consideration. But the biggest part of this building is the wetlands, right? That's the area to the plan north. We've stayed out of that, and that we've sited the building in such a way to where we can stay out of the wetlands and the buffer zone. So that was our biggest concern with the addition.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And just to go back to the demographer report, even though the state did come back and said that they project higher enrollment, our plan, what we're seeing with the 10 kindergarten and the 10 second grade, just to ease any concerns, that still more than covers.
Yes, that
within
addresses
5 years.
the issues of the unhoused students that the demographer report has brought up.
it gets the students out of the modulars and accounts for the recent growth. Basically, that came from making pre-K and K full-time.
Any other questions? No? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're now going to move on to 6.1, which is our student representative monthly report. Does this work?
Oh, no, sorry. Winter sports are going well. DECA and HOSA have started their competition conferences. HOSA just won some awards at their last one, and numerous DECA teams have made their way onto states, which will take place in March. Student Council is really focusing on community outreach at the moment and are involved in numerous projects. The sport will not only help students, but also the community, and there will be more information on that later on. Model UN had a very successful popcorn fundraiser recently to help support money for their competitions. We have a February 4th leadership conference for student council members, and we are anticipating some Valentine's Day fundraisers. And the seniors have decided on a senior trip to Six Flags sometime in the spring or end of fiscal year.
Thank you so much. Can I please have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Thanks, Kurt. Second?
Second.
Emily? Thank you. Any discussion? We don't. All in favor? We'll make it easy.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Thank you. Moving on to 8.1, our superintendent's monthly report.
Thank you.
Dr. Beck.
As you can see on this evening's agenda, there is a formal resolution to recognize Board of Education members, as January is School Board Recognition Month. I would like to draw special attention to this resolution, but also would like to personally acknowledge our Board of Education members and Board of Education members across the state. Being a Board of Education member requires countless hours of time commitment and making decisions that are constantly analyzed by the public, and is no easy task. Board members know this is all part of the job and still decide to dedicate their time and energy to serve our students, staff, and school community. So in addition to the resolution on the agenda this evening, I would like to extend my gratitude to all the current and past board members who have served the Sparta community. Last Friday, I had the pleasure of attending Sparta Middle School's production of Alice in Wonderland. As always, the students were phenomenal, and the production, props, and set were extremely well done. We faced some weather challenges heading into the Sunday show, but the cast and crew were able to adjust and move the time up to make sure they got all 3 shows in. Up next is the Sparta High School musical, which will run March 14th through the 16th, with a senior citizens and staff preview on March 13th. This year's high school musical is Little Shop of Horrors and promises to be another blockbuster, as is always the case. Last week, we encountered a very challenging situation when Mohawk Avenue School lost power due to a blown transformer that took place around roughly 7:40 a.m. With the students already en route and an estimated restore time that was not immediately known, we were forced to make some operational decisions rather quickly. With the condition of the facility quickly deteriorating as we had no power, light, heat, communications, and other challenges, and then information that the power would not be restored for quite a few hours, we made the decision to dismiss the students approximately 3 hours after the power outage began. I fully understand that this decision and the timing thereof created challenges for parents to receive their children at home or pick them up at school with relatively short notice. The day following the incident, the administrators involved in the situation and I met to debrief and reflect on things we could have done better. The main takeaway from this situation is that our communication during these incidents needs to be better. And when I meet with the full admin team next week, we will discuss the importance of broader communication during emergencies when practicable, as well as other lessons we learned. I kept the board apprised of the situation and the details of the debrief, and will continue to work with the admin team to ensure our communication during these events continues to improve. Thankfully, all of our students and staff are safe, and I would like to thank the Mohawk Avenue staff and Ms. Madsen for their diligent work during the incident. There are a few retirements on this evening's agenda I would like to acknowledge. We have Melissa Bandel, who's the instructional intervention literacy teacher at Helen Morgan School. Ms. Bandel has served the district for 30 years. Deborah Giannuzzi, music teacher at Sparta High School. Dr. Giannuzzi has served the district for 30 years also. And Rachel Hendrickson-Prale, fourth grade math and science teacher at Helen Morgan School. Ms. Hendrickson-Prale has served the district for 26 years. Thank you and congratulations to all our retirees. That's my report.
Thank you so much, Dr. Beck. Moving on to 9.1, Board President's Monthly Report. I do have a few small items I would like to bring to everyone's attention, our new committee assignments. For Personnel and Policy, we have Kurt, Emily, and myself, with Kurt serving as our chair. For Curriculum, we have Chad, Lee, and Michelle, with Chad serving as our chair. And for Finance and Operations, we have Rocky, Lauren, and Rebecca, with Rocky serving as our chair. Proudly, we were able to accommodate most specific requests, including chair appointments. Anyone who was interested was able to receive a chair role. And the first committee meetings, I would say, went very well. You'll also see on tonight's agenda our new subcommittee and liaison roles. Nearly all introductory emails have been sent, and several meetings are already in the process of being scheduled with our new appointees. One last point I'd like to make to foster enhanced transparency and communication with the public. As we move committee agenda items going forward, including this evening, we will include a brief update from each committee's spokesperson to relay what was discussed and any important items we wish to highlight. We have similar initiatives, greater initiatives taking place through our Communications Ad Hoc Committee, which will be discussed and hopefully implemented over the coming months. Item 10, we have Oprah. Motion to approve the HIB report, please.
Motion.
Thanks, Kurt. Second. Thanks, Rocky. No discussion? Discussion? Okay, discussion for that, please. Anyone? Seeing none. Barbara, can we please have a roll call?
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Ms. Hinkle?
Yes.
Dr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Ms. Serafino?
Yes.
Ms. Williams? Yes. Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. Gagnon?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on, I don't believe we have anything for communications this evening. Anyone have anything for delegate or liaison reports? I know it's a little bit early, but in case anyone had an opportunity. Thank you, Chap.
All right, I have a lot to share, actually, so bear with me. And Ms. Rossi's not here tonight, so I am unofficially taking over her role, especially because she's on my curriculum committee. So in terms of some early reading grant progress, and just an FYI, if anyone's interested in more specifics of what I'm talking about, all of it can be found on board docs and our committee minutes, so it's all available to you. Mine just a little shortened down. But following the COVID pandemic, it seems like our committee was really surrounded upon ensuring that students were where they needed to be and were caught up, and we were identifying new resources and refining what works best for students to get them back on track. And we're in our second year of an early reading grant, which is allowing us to adopt new tools like EduClimber, which really helps with the intervention process and tracking student progress. And Sparta's actually been a standout school in this capacity. And following with that, in response to interventions, and I didn't know this, but Sparta is actually one of the few schools, especially at a high school level, that offers tiered support. And there is a proposal for 2 new roles to strengthen student interventions. One of these roles being an intervention coordinator, which manages the student plans, and the other being the mentorship coordinator, which focuses more on personal development. And I actually had in my notes to ask Ms. Rossi to shed more light on this, but that's okay. We also have an exciting new opportunity at the middle school, but I don't want to jump too far ahead. We are exploring a middle school esports program with grant support, but we are facing some challenges like high costs, and it's also there. It can be hard to align in a sense that if we offer this at the middle school and students do want this at the high school, then are we feasibly going to be able to do that? And the grant also has some demographic, and then additionally, it's just a super exciting program. And for me personally, as someone who's familiar with video games, it's always exciting to see us expand our programs. To continue on, we have some math program exploration. We're reviewing some of our K through 12 math programming materials that we use, and we're at a point where some of our programs are nearing expiration, so we have the opportunity to explore what's available to us, and that gives people like Ms. Rossi a lot of benefit because she can really dive into other districts and learn what really effective schools are doing and what we can take from them. And in terms of the Instructional Appeal Committee, at some of the meetings you may have seen in the past, there have been some parents with some more unique requests in terms of, say, like the upper math classes or skipping grades or keeping students in classes. So there has been a demonstrated need for a broader committee to handle complex cases fairly. So some of our initial steps are going to be reviewing some policies and establish clear, consistent procedures. But there is an Instructional Appeal Committee that's on the way to really help proceed with some of these issues. And just to jump to the side a little bit, I also went to the Sussex County Education Services Commission meeting, and this was frankly a really exciting orientation and first meeting. Frankly, it's a blessing to hear more about the role they play in our district, especially when it comes to out-of-district placements. And we hear so much how students going out of district cost us money, and this commission does a lot to save us money because in terms of our policy, we have to approach them first before or the parents have to approach them and consider their option first before other schools, and they usually are the cheapest option. So it's always nice to hear about the work that they do. And as Caitlin was saying, something that Caitlin was saying earlier was in terms of us briefing you with some of the some minutes and some short things of what happened at our committee meetings. What they do is after board meetings, they share board briefs to the community, which are short lists to get the word out. And I thought that was a great insight. And they also had an insightful note on workers' compensation. And I don't know how this is going to affect our districts, but I thought it was interesting, and I thought I'd share it. So they have a ton of staff who are eager to get back to work, but due to, say, medical issues or something along those lines, they have workers' compensation problems that don't allow them to come back to work. So what their board has been doing is they've been changing their rules a little bit to allow them to help with light tasks so they can come back and help in the workday with an easier load until they can really get back fully into work. So that's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Anyone else?
On the personnel side, preliminary talks will start shortly with contract negotiations, both with the administration and the fearful SEA. And on a policy note, the committee is going to start updating the non-mandated policies first, starting with the oldest, and implementing any changes that are recommended from the NJSBA. The remainder of the agenda is pretty much same as every other month. Hiring, as Dr. Beck said, retirements, and that's pretty much it.
Rocky, did you want to do yours too?
Yes, thank you, Caitlin. A few things. I'll keep it brief. Many within finance and operations, transportation, they're taking a very proactive role, and they're looking to ways to save the district, either by taking back routes or getting buses that are newer, so we're not spending so much to repair them. That's transportation. For grounds, the big thing for me is that the solar panels are finally going to be online, and we're finally going to start realizing some revenue back from that. So that was a very good thing to hear about, that we're finally going to see some benefit from the solar panels. Health insurance, which everybody is dealing with, there will be a decision to be made by the board by June or July about how we go forward with the district and how we ensure our staff and personnel. Ms. Decker has asked for us approval to change the accounting package in the district, and after hearing some of the pain, I think it's a good idea. We'll hear more about it as we get closer to a decision. Especially with the referendum, we had our S&P or Standard & Poor's review, and it looks like we're going to keep our AA rating, which is very important. That keeps our prices down for when we go out for debt. Dr. Beck already addressed, we also had a discussion about the Mohawk Avenue early dismissal, and he's done a great job and he's taking care of it. He'll do more communications about that. a bunch of transportation issues that we need to that we'll approve today. I want to say thank you to the Alpine PTO for doing a donation to the Alpine students. Thank you for that. That's always appreciated. And it's important that it also shows involvement. And we discussed the school board recognition, which Dr. Beck also addressed.
Thank you all so much. One thing I wanted to add to operations as well, which is kind of echoing a lot of what was already said, but regarding the Mohawk Avenue emergency closure, I would also like to thank Dr. Beck and Mrs. Madsen for taking the community's feedback and the concerns raised to heart. As mentioned, numerous teams met the very next day and curated a comprehensive list of focus areas to ensure any future emergencies are better handled. I think we can all agree that communication was one of the main concerns, but thankfully Dr. Beck has identified the problem areas and arguably more importantly, identified solutions and has already enacted some of those. So I would like to thank you again. Also, I want to mention that Dr. Beck and I, along with the full board, will continue working closely to identify any ways the board may be able to offer its support appropriately. There were other issues that arose that we discussed, so those are ongoing discussions. But obviously a very frustrating and concerning day for everyone involved, but we appreciate everyone's patience, and I especially appreciate the response. So thank you. With no one else, we'll move on to public comment number 1. Public comments are invited on matters pertaining only to action items at this time. Please state the action item number as well as your name, municipality, and group affiliation if appropriate for the record. Each participant will receive 3 minutes to speak. Once you have had your allotted 3 minutes to speak, you will not be permitted to speak again until public comment number 2. All statements should be directed to me as the presiding officer. The board or administration may or may not respond to any questions or comments after the conclusion of the public participation. So any public comment for agenda items at this time? Okay, seeing none, motion to close.
Motion.
Thank you, Kurt. Second. Thank you, Becca. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Thank you. Motion to move, let's see here, personnel and policy, we have items 15.1, I believe it was 15.1 through 15.28.
Motion.
Thank you, Kurt. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Emily. Can I have a roll call, please? Oh, excuse me, discussion. I'm going to forget that every time. Discussion, please. Most important part. Any discussion? We covered it already for the most part. Thank you, Barbara. Roll call when you can.
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Ms. Hinkle?
Yes.
Dr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Ms. Serafino?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And Ms. Gagnon?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. Next, Dr. Beck, 2 small revisions to curriculum,
Yes,
correct?
as we look at curriculum instruction and special services, I just have 2 really minor revisions for 16.1 field trips. The 2/4/25 field trip to Jefferson Township High School, that should say SHS, not SMS. And then the very next one on 2/6, the mock trial competition, same thing. It should say SHS, not SMS.
Thank you so much. So motion to move curriculum items 16.1 through 16.3.
Motion?
Thank you, Chad, I think. Second?
Second.
Emily, thank you. Roll call, please, or discussion? Almost. Discussion. Seeing none, Barbara, can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Ms. Hinkle?
Yes.
Dr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Ms. Serafino?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. Gagnon?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. And on to finance, we have items 17.1, motion to move items 17.1 through 17.5.
Motion.
Thank you, Kurt. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Becca. Discussion. Seeing none, can we please have a roll call? Barbara?
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Ms. Hinkle?
Yes.
Dr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Ms. Serafino?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. Gagnon?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. On to item 18, operations. Motion to move items 18.1
Motion.
through, through 18.6.
Motion.
Thank you, Lauren. Second? Thank you, Rebecca. Any discussion? Seeing none, Barbara, can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Ms. Hinkle? Yes. Dr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Ms. Serafino?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. Gagnon?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. And we are on to item 19, old business. Does anyone have anything for old business? I actually do have something for old business. So I would like to set the record straight on one matter of old business. A Tap Into article entitled, quote, "Sparta Board of Education members wrangle with cell tower safety issues versus revenue," end quote, was published on January 10th. Sadly, this headline is not an accurate description of what has transpired, so I would like to clarify a few items. In mid-November, we were advised of a verbal proposal from a vendor with a potential interest in installing 4 to 5 antennas and a cabinet the size of a small refrigerator on school property. We agreed to have the vendor come out and assess the property free of charge and agreed to do our research from there. And just to clarify, everything I'm saying has already been run by our board attorney. Strong opinions formed in the weeks that followed, which is fair enough. However, I cautioned us then, as I do now, to ensure that we are providing accurate information to the public. Saying that this board is debating cell tower installation on school property is not accurate information. And as I understand it, the majority, if not all, board members would not be interested in pursuing a cell tower initiative. So there is no wrangling over cell tower safety concerns versus revenue taking place here. If and when the vendor presents us with a formal proposal, I say once again, we receive the specifics, including the brand and models of any equipment being potentially proposed to us, because again, and this is important, there is a chance that some of the equipment we would be discussing may already exist on school property, and we would simply be supplementing it. It's possible. So again, I say we take those specifics, do our research from there, and make an informed decision, of course, weighing all pros and cons, considering public input personally, and prioritizing student safety throughout. And also, Mark, perhaps you can weigh in on this. This is just more of a personal inquiry. I want to caution us against revising any policies during this process just because there is a pending proposal. Do you have anything to add to that? Is there any ramification that we might face if we were to sort of reactively, knowing this has not been raised months and months and months prior, if we were to engage in policy revisions regarding this while a potential proposal is on the table?
Yeah, I mean, we could talk more in exec session under attorney-client privilege, but I would say that, to me, it would be premature at this point. Let's see what's on the table first, and then perhaps if we feel that our policies don't adequately address some of the concerns, I think it would be appropriate to do it at that point. I mean, we all know that policies can be amended at any time after a certain number of readings, but you don't want to go in circles and do it once only to find out that we miss certain things. So, to me, wait till the issue's ripe for consideration before actually delving into it.
Excellent, I agree. Thank you. I hope that clarifies on that. Anyone else for anything for old business? Okay, moving on to new business. Anyone have anything new? Seeing nothing, we'll move on to public comment number 2. The board uses the second public comment period to invite comments on all matters pertaining to the school district. Please state your name, municipality, and group affiliation if appropriate for the record. Each participant will receive 3 minutes to speak. Once you have had your allotted 3 minutes to speak, you will not be permitted to speak again. All statements should be directed to me as the presiding officer. The board or administration may or may not respond to any questions or comments after the conclusion of the public participation.
I already did it. Pre-signed, Mark, don't worry. It's okay. Safety hazard. Good evening. My name is Angela DeLucia, and I am the very proud president of the Sparta Education Association and Sussex County Education Association. As we begin the new year, the SEA would like to welcome the new and returning board members, Dr. Hinkle, Dr. Martinez, Ms. Williams, and Ms. Serafino. We'd also like to publicly announce that there are changes in the executive board of the SEA. Rosemary Bayless will now be serving as our treasurer, and Harriet Anderson will be serving as the secretary. Andrew Bayless and I remain in our current roles. We are anticipating great work ahead of us through the Ideas Committee and an amenable negotiations cycle. As always, SEA members are busy doing what they do best, providing outstanding instruction and stellar support. At SHS, Tom D'Annunzio and Ken Scutamilio led the charge last weekend when HOSA took home significant awards at their competition. And Sandy Chiappini, Will Anderson, and Craig Merrill are able to boast major accolades from the Regional DECA Conference and will be bringing a superior squad to states this year. At SMS, Melissa Fitch, through her studies and work with the New Jersey Holocaust Commission, was able to bring Maud Dame to speak to the 8th grade. Ms. Dame spoke about her trying experience as a hidden child during the Holocaust, which provided an authentic and moving learning opportunity for our students. Coming up on February 6th at 6 p.m., Kelly Kiff has organized an author event with middle grade author James Ponte and local author Wendy Mass. This event is open to the community and sponsored by Sparta Books. At Mohawk Avenue School, Miss Dalpome got married and is now Miss Feely. And Explorations has made its way to Mohawk and is running 6 successful clubs. At Alpine, Miss Connolly had a baby boy, and we are so very happy for her and her family. And as you know, this is only a snapshot of the good news from the amazing work that our members do every single day. And it's certainly difficult to harness all of this greatness in just 3 minutes. We look forward to continuing to share these positive notes with the board and the community in the coming months. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak? Okay, motion to close.
Motion.
Thank you, Kurt. Second. Discussion? No. All in favor? I'm going to say it every time now. And lastly, anyone for the good of the order? Oh, go ahead, Michelle.
Thank you. I'm employed by William Patterson, University of New Jersey, so I would like it noted and documented that I will recuse myself from any matters that arise with my employer for the entirety of my term.
Totally appropriate. Thank you so much.
And Ms. Decker, let the record reflect that anytime any resolution comes up, if we happen to somehow miss it, that her vote should be reflected as an abstention.
Okay. Excuse me one moment. All right.
Yeah, I have one thing for the good of the order.
Go ahead, Chad. Sorry.
All right, and this is going to be a bit of a throwback for any parents, but this is for my mom. But does anybody remember box tops? I know that back then you used to have to cut them out and sort them into bags and remind your kids to bring them into school. And my mom, as a class parent, would go through hundreds of them. And she tells me that now it's even easier than ever to participate. All you have to do is download the app, and through the app you can pick the school you want to support and simply scan receipts. And in theory, you can scan receipts with products that partner with Box Top, like see the little Box Top on the side. But my mom personally doesn't care. She scans all the receipts because even if you don't participate, you can. It'll still enter you in a sweepstake, and she's already won $10. She'll tell you. Now, the sad reality is that you can see how many people participate, and I believe that my mom is one of 6 people supporting Helen Morgan School through the app. And this is real money that the school could receive, and this is money that you will probably end up spending anyway at the grocery store. And all it takes is the scan of a receipt. So I just wanted to give a friendly reminder to everyone out there that Box Tops is still around.
Thank you so much, Chad. And with that, we will not be returning to closed session, so motion to adjourn. Thank you, Rebecca. Second? She beat you to it, sorry. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Good night.